Hi, this is Rick from For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. While I was doing my undergrad, learning all about the Bible, learning all about how to be a pastor, in my second year of my undergrad, I got a little lax. Before my undergrad, I was living in places where I had to fight to continue to be a Jesus follower because there was a lot of rejection of that around me. I found that it was kind of easier to be a Jesus follower when I saw all the darkness around me because it offered a really great contrast about the way that I should be living and the way that I didn't want to be living. However, once I got into my undergrad and I was surrounded with all the Bible teaching and surrounded with all the praying, people were reading the Bible for me. People were praying for me. By the time I got to my second year, I started getting used to it and I stopped reading the Bible for myself. And I stopped praying for myself. And the Bible and praying became more, like academic than personal. It didn't have anything to do with my Jesus following anymore. Well, it kind of did, but I was getting lax. I was getting pretty lazy. And I was on a trajectory that would lead me away from what I wanted when I entered the undergrad. What I wanted when I entered the undergrad was to teach people the Bible and to lead people to Jesus. And somewhere in my second year, the Bible and praying and Jesus all became academic and less personal. So there was a committee in the school. I think it was called the Devotional Committee. I don't know. One of them put a note in my mailbox with the phrase, "You can take 1,000 steps away from God, but it's always one step back." And that was all it took. Just that reminder that even though I might be off track, even though I may have messed up, even though I may have made a ruin of my life, and I didn't. I'm not saying I was a mass murderer, or I broke into banks, or I got arrested, or became an addict. I'm not saying anything like that. But, I was on trajectory away from making God something personal in my life. It was an awesome note to remind me that I just had to reconnect with Jesus. And if I just took that one step back, everything would be okay. And guess what? The same is true for you too. Your journey may have taken you far away from God, or you may never have taken a journey anywhere near God at any time in your life. But what was true for me is still true for you. You're actually not that far away from God at all. It's really just one step back. Okay, what about you? Do you have a story about a time when you felt that you were drifting off course, any way at all, and someone came alongside you and helped you get connected, either with God again, or connected to your dream again, connected to your purpose, connected to your vision again? You got a coach or something, anything at all. If you've got a story, please pause the video and share that story with whoever you're watching with. And also remember that there will be an opportunity to share this coming Sunday when we connect on Zoom. This video is based on my interpretation of James chapter 5, verses 19 to 20. This passage has something to say about us giving someone a heads up about getting back on track. James chapter 5, verse 19 to 20. "My dear brothers and sisters, if someone among you wanders away from the truth and is brought back, you can be sure that whoever brings a sinner back from wandering will save that person from death and bring about the forgiveness of many sins." Here's a point that I'm going to try to make in this video. It just takes one. And I think that this text really has two groups of people in mind. So the one thing that it takes is a little different for both of these groups. However, just a little different, but it just takes one. Two big things jumping up the text. Let's start right here. It's just one step. The text says, if someone among you wanders away from the truth and is brought back. So here's some good news. No matter how far away you have wandered without God or away from God, the distance back to God or to God in the first place is always the same. It's just one step. In this text, the focus is on the people who have been Jesus followers, and for some reason or other, they are no longer actively following Jesus. I mean, we have no idea what happened to these people, anything at all, could have happened to these people. For Jesus' followers at the time of writing, it's possible that persecution maybe made them drift away. It's also possible that the stress that came from their culture got the best of them. I mean, a long while ago, at around the time of writing here, Christians were actually seen as atheists. Christians were people who believed in one God when the culture that they were in believed in many. So people looked at them as being foolish. Why would you limit yourself? Why don't you believe in all these gods? You must be atheists. And so Christianity was counterculture. There are way too many variables, I think, for us to think up all that may have happened to some of these people who chose to no longer be active in their Jesus following. It really doesn't matter. The great news for them, and also the great news for us, is that at some point, some people were following Jesus, and at some point they stopped being active in their following Jesus, and now we learn that it's just one step back. Today, there are a ton of reasons that people can come up with for no longer following Jesus. I mean, a ton. The church hurt me. I can't trust pastors. I can't trust denominations. I can't trust how people interpret the Bible. The church is anti-this, anti-that. Christians are rude. The church is anti-science, whatever. Lots of reasons we can come up with. And there's some truth in all of it. And the good news is that we don't need a list of all the reasons because everyone gets the same answer. It's just one step back. There is no power on earth greater than the gospel. In the simple gospel, we find that faith in Jesus, connecting with Jesus and declaring that we believe in him and start to follow him, simple gospel, that transforms someone from being disconnected with God to being connected with God. Faith in Jesus, following Jesus, just one step back. Just reach out, connect with him, and discover that you're still loved, still invited, start following him again, and then eternity is yours. There is nothing that has the power to offer anybody eternity, anybody anything outside of this life, except for the power that we find in the simple gospel. Just believe in Jesus and start to follow him. Okay, of course, there may be some complications. There's trauma. Is there addiction? Is there strained relationships? Are there other problems still haunting us when we choose to say, okay, yes, I'll follow Jesus now? Yeah, of course, there are complications. But guess what? You're connected with God and your hope is in eternity and you've got God forever. And God's going to help you with the complications that you bring with you as you connect with God. You can take 1,000 steps, 10,000 steps, 1,000,000 steps away from God or apart from God. It's always just one step back, and that never changes. There's nothing more powerful than the simple gospel. Okay, here's the other encouraging thing that's really jumping out to me. It's just one of something. It's just one step, and it's just one conversation. The text says, whoever brings the sinner back from wandering will save that person. One day in my second year of my undergrad, someone left a note in my mailbox. That's all it took for me to get back on track. I mean, there may have been a ton of other things that completely escaped my notice, but this one thing did it for me. You could be that notification for someone. You could be the catalyst, the missing ingredient, the agent of change, that mentor, the single moment of clarity for someone. That could be you. You could be the one with some kind of word of encouragement about connecting with Jesus that could change the course of someone's life and connecting with Jesus and give them the hope of eternity when they didn't have that before. That's really big. That is something big that you can be a part of. Is it easy? Not really. We have no idea where people are at and what it will take for someone to connect with Jesus for themselves. But that's not on us. The outcome is not ours to own. Leave the outcome between God and the person that you're trying to connect with. For the people around you, it may be just one conversation. Personally, I think it'll take more than one conversation to someone actually connect with Jesus, but it only takes one conversation for you to start someone on that journey. The people around you may have spent a lifetime walking without Jesus, or they may have taken 10,000 to 1,000,000 steps away from Jesus. It's all the same. It's just one step back that for them starts with a conversation with you. For you, it's just one conversation to check in and see if you can help someone on their journey toward Jesus. This is an awesome passage for me. For me, this has shaped my lifestyle. I've worked for cheap. I've worked for free. I've played the fool. I've been a social elite. I've taken chances. I've pursued degrees, all around this idea right here. I know that there's something that I can do that will affect someone's eternity. And so for me, it's been worth the sacrifice, commitment, and time. What about you? I'm not sure which one you are, so I'm just going to go for both. Can you take that one step back to Jesus? Just pray. Tell Jesus you believe in him. Ask him to help you follow him. That's a great start. Just take that one step back. Reconnect with him. Just pray. Just talk to him about it. Or if you're in the other group, can you shape your life around seeing that helping someone take a step to accept Jesus is something that you will value? Who am I? I'm no different than you. No better or no worse than you. We're equals. I'm trying to figure this stuff out too. Can you take a chance and have a conversation about Jesus with someone who may need a heads up that it's just one step to God? And that by their faith in Jesus, they get connected with God and eternity is theirs. Okay, that's it. That's the preach. That's all I got for today. Looking forward to hear how you have interpreted this text when we get a chance to meet. So that's it from me to you for now. Would you please like? Would you please share? Would you please subscribe? Would you please ask for the link? We meet 2 times on Sundays, 10:30 a.m., 6 o'clock p.m. for community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. I'll see you next time.